Why black holes are the biggest misunderstanding, one of the biggest of modern science. We have to see this from the historical perspective. Einstein has developed idea that gravity is the result of the curved space. So in the minds of the physicists, they have this picture that in two dimensions there is a Euclidean space which is like a line, but space is not Euclidean, so the physical objects are making kind of holes in space. Okay. Then Schwarzschild has calculated that when the star is big enough, I guess it's around 2.6 masses of the solar our sun, then the star has tendency to collapse into to collapse, actually to shrink into, to become smaller and smaller and denser and finally disappear out of the universe. We have to understand largely what does it mean, this calculation. This calculation is indicating that in the so-called black holes something special is happening, because the black hole at the end is eating itself, is disappearing. So we have to understand where this black holes is disappearing according to Schwarzschild metrics. The new perspective is needed. The first thing is that space is not curved, space is flat. NASA has measured in 2014 that space has Euclidean shape. The second thing is that space is not empty. Space is a fundamental energy of the universe that we call today superfluid quantum vacuum or superfluid quantum space. And this space has in the intergalactic space has an energy density of the Planck energy density. And in the center of the stellar object, this energy density is diminishing accordingly to the mass of the physical object. This is the mass energy equivalence extension of the superfluid quantum space. And what is happening inside of so-called black holes, that the density, energy density of space is so low that atoms become unstable. They fall apart into elementary particles. And this creates inside these big stars, where this process happening, a big pressure of fresh energy. And that's why some of these stars are exploding. This is what we call in astronomy supernova. But some of these stars, they are so big that they cannot explode. So this immense pressure inside, which is created by this fresh gas, because old matter is falling apart, atoms become unstable, because in the center of so-called black holes, the electromagnetic properties of the superfluid quantum space are changing because the energy density has diminishing drastically and the atoms become unstable. So this fresh gas, because this supermassive black holes in the center of galaxies are rotating. This fresh gas is making hole in the direction of rotation. So the supermassive black holes has these holes, and they are throwing this fresh gas out of their center in the intergalactic space. And this fresh gas is a fresh energy for the development of new stars. So universe is eternal. The idea of some beginning is just a nonsense. I calculated this everything. You know, the Schwarzschild radius is related to the Schwarzschild energy density, because under the certain level of energy density of superfluid quantum space, the atoms become unstable. This is the point of the black holes. This idea that there is a kind of hole in space-time is just a nonsense. It's 100 years old nonsense that we have to stop. We have to stop nonsense in physics if we want to progress. Okay. Big Bang is absolute nonsense. Curvature of space is absolute nonsense. The most of the particle physics is absolute nonsense. Higgs field is absolute nonsense. You know, the idea that elementary particles which are discovered in cyclotrons, they have a lifetime 10 on minus 20 or 23. They are the elements out of which atom is built. This is just nonsense, because only a stable element can build a stable structure. If we see the atom as a structure, if you have a little bit of brain, it has to be clear that the stable structure can only build out of the stable elements. You cannot build a house out of the bricks that are not stable. So the entire cyclotron physics is just a pure nonsense. Proton is a vortex of a superfluid quantum space. Proton has no constituent elements. This what they discover is cyclotrons. You know, they are colliding protons, and protons are breaking. These vortexes are breaking, and you have a sparkles. You have a huge firework, you know, and out of these sparkles now physicists are guessing every sparkle is a kind of particle. But it's nothing. This does not exist in the universe. These are just sparkles of energy that are turning back into superfluid quantum space. A lot of physics is a pseudoscience. And physics today, it's totally lost in the mind. You know, everybody is masturbating. There is a lot of articles which are just in theoretical physics, which are just intellectual masturbations. Physicists are taking few equations here, few equations there, mixing this together and creating new theories, which are just a fucking mind bullshit. We have lost in physics the sense. So the idea of some holes in a space-time, it's a pure nonsense. I have a bad temper sometimes when when people send me all these videos of well-known physicists which are talking nonsense. Physics needs a self-reflection. We have to wake up consciousness into physicists, that they will start observing the ways their mind creates new theories, because most of them is nonsense. If the observer in you is not awakened, if you cannot supervise the way your mind works, you are just an idiot. A famous physicist, Feynman, he used to say, you can have a PhD in physics, but you can still be an idiot.